As told by Dr. Vernon Coleman in his own words. Dr. Vernon Coleman, MBCHVDCFISA. This is about the economy, which is a long word which politicians use when they're talking about the stuff which you and I think of as money. It all begins, of course, with the global reset, as advertised by Prince Charles, which doesn't include any provision for private property, unless you're already a billionaire or a member of the British royal family. If you don't believe me, check out the Agenda 21 promotional guff, as published by the United Nations. And take a look at Pope Francis's words on private property. So, I hear you asking, how are the Sturmbannführers and Obersturmbannführers planning to take away our private property? Silly question, I'm afraid, because they've already started their 5-point plan to bankrupt us all. They don't want us to own anything because people who own a home or a pension or who have a few quid in the bank have an unacceptable tendency to assume that they are free citizens. They want to remove every last vestige of our independence, and they'll be ruthless. First, of course, crashing the global economy has buggered up any investments you may have. And don't think you are okay if you don't have any investments, because unless you work for the state and have a state pension, your retirement fund will have been savagely damaged. Wrecking the economy was deliberate. It is part of the Agenda 21 plan. Billionaires such as Gates and Musk did amazingly well during 2020, their wealth grew massively. But I bet yours didn't. But then Bezos controls much of the internet, the Gates Foundation has shares in a variety of drug companies, and Musk has the electric car industry tied up. The rest probably just shorted the markets to get rich. Remember the Rothschilds at the end of the Battle of Waterloo. They tricked all the other traders into thinking that Napoleon had won, and then cleaned up, and made a huge fortune. Second, they have reduced interest rates to a level never seen before. If you have £1 million sitting in your government savings account, the annual interest will just about buy you a tankful of petrol. And just to add to the excitement, the central banks are all talking about negative interest rates. Put a few quid into a deposit account, and you'll have to pay interest to them. Third, the crashing economy will destroy millions of jobs. The United Nations said in 2020 that 50% of all jobs are going to disappear, and we can trust them, because it's their game, their ball, and their packet of sandwiches. Those without jobs will have to rely on government handouts, renamed the Universal Basic Income. Fourth, if you own your own home, or think you do, or own part of it, then you're in trouble. Interest rates are going to remain the lowest in history for a while to make sure that those with savings see their savings slowly disappear. And then interest rates will go up. Not a bit, but a lot. I'll explain why in a moment. And when interest rates are up to 8, 9 or 10%, or even higher, imagine what mortgage payments will reach. They'll be even higher. And most people won't be able to afford to keep their homes. That will be end of private home ownership, and another step towards a successful Agenda 21. Fifth, why are interest rates going to soar? Well, because when interest rates rocket, so too will inflation. And massive inflation is the best way for governments to get rid of their massive, otherwise unpayable debts. And massive rates of inflation also destroy any savings that people have hung onto. Oh, and there is a sixth trick up their sleeve, taxes. Governments everywhere have been throwing money around with great joy. 10 billion here, 100 billion there. They'll need to replenish the coffers and pay off the debts. And so taxes are going to rise. They'll invent new taxes you've never dreamt of, and the main aim will not be to raise money, but to impoverish everyone. They don't want us to own anything. It's the plan. Check it out, I'm not making this up. And when we're all impoverished, they will generously pay us all a universal basic income, and we will then be entirely dependent on Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, and co. for our daily bread. If we misbehave or criticize our masters, then our payment won't come through, and our digital bank account will remain empty. If we were to lose this war, which we won't because we can't, the dissidents would all be living in mud huts and eating grass and slug pie while the billionaires get forever richer. The people controlling the system are not inept or incompetent. They are deceitful, devious and far more wicked than anything most of us have ever come across. When I was a GP, I worked as a police surgeon for some years. I have met, examined and interviewed a number of murderers. I never met any as evil as the deceitful and devious politicians, scientists and doctors now determined to destroy everything we value for power and money. Make no mistake about it, the end of civilization is coming towards us at the speed of light. There are still people who think things will get better in 2021. They won't. Next year is going to be far, far worse than this year, and it is going to be ever harder to break the hold the evil people have on our lives. If you are awake and you care about life, your family, your friends and your community, then you have to do everything you can to stop these people and halt the Agenda 21 plan. Copyright Vernon Coleman, November 28, 2020. # the Great Reset. Like.